walking in a wobbly line because my leg felt heavy. So you know when you lift up a heavy bag, you want to lean over. So I wanted to lean a little bit when I lifted up my leg. So I was walking in a kind of a wobbly line, and it took a few paces to actually teach my brain that I didn't need to lean over each time I lifted up my leg.
Crazy. Jerome, Diego, Orand, is there a lot of physical preparation to do before going to space?
There is still quite a lot of physical preparation because you have to be, the main thing is healthy, because you don't want to cut short your mission because you get sick in space. But actually still people need to be reasonably strong to get through not just the G-forces that you expect, but if something goes wrong, if you do a ballistic re-entry, for instance, you might get 8G. That's quite
That's what
tough.
you got?
I didn't get 8G. And usually we get about 5.5G on landing in
That's
Soyuz.
quite a lot.
And that still feels quite a lot, especially if you've been in space for 6 months.
Right.
So I
you've
think
been
yes.
0G, and then all of a sudden you get
big change.
5Gs. You would never get that on Earth, would you?
Coping with that, those sort of G-forces, and also working inside your spacesuit. So we even did exercises with our hands to make our hand muscles strong. So if your spacesuit inflates with air, if you lose the atmosphere from the spacecraft, so not even doing a spacewalk. So if your spacesuit inflates inside the spacecraft, then it's difficult to just move your fingers in the gloves.
That's you wear during the trip, right?
Yeah.
But not on the station.
No,
on
no.
the Mir, you were
so you wear the
as
spacesuit
free as on the ISS.
just for the dangerous times of launch and docking and landing.
Right. Bella Raya asks, what should be the primary quality that a woman requires to be a successful astronaut?
I would say primary qualities are just the same as what anybody requires to be a successful astronaut. And nowadays, it's one thing, I would say there's probably a combination of things. Still, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be a real logical understanding. So it doesn't necessarily have to be engineering
abilities,
degree,
yeah.
But I mean, for instance, my degree is in chemistry, so I'm a scientist. But I think it's the understanding, so we can work out what to do in situations. But actually, I think just as important as that is the ability to work well with your colleagues up there. So it's to be a team worker. You're working with your team in space, with all the teams in mission control, with all the doctors, all the scientists, and you're just one of a huge team of people. And
different cultures, especially in your case.
Very much, and learning different languages, for instance. So that's also important.
Speaking Russian. Okay. Last question from Daniel Dempsey. Humans are in times where we are at our most advanced. Where do you see the future for CERN that you just visited and collaboration with space?
Wow, so the future for CERN, would be a quick one, because I've only seen a very small part
as an external person.
But yes, absolutely. So we've today we saw the alpha magnetometer spectrometer, and well, not the real thing, of course, because that's in space.
Yeah, you saw the control center.
The control center, which are absolutely fascinating, and sort of heard about just a little bit of the science that they're getting from this. And so things like that. So we're using space all the time, and I think it's an interaction now. We don't separate space from Earth. We're using space on Earth all the time. We were just hearing about some of the uses of space for the United Nations,
satellites, of course,
and,
yes,
and really helping people's life on Earth. So I think we don't separate anymore. Just like you can't separate science from life, you can't separate space from Earth. We are part of space after all. We are, in our planet, we are floating in space. So there we go. We're all part and parcel. So it has to be integrated.
Thank you very much. That was a very nice conclusive message from Helen Sharman, UK first Brit in space. Thank you, and I'll let you go back to the visit. And we have here our next astronaut and final astronaut for this Facebook Live from the CERN Data Center. Somebody who is very close to CERN.
Hello, hello.
Bonjour, Claude.
Bonjour.
We continue in English.
That's fine.
Very close to CERN, not just because you were born on the shores of Lake Geneva,
That's right.
but also because you're an astrophysicist.
That's correct.
And today you were visiting the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer headquarters together with Professor Sam Ting.
Yes.
What was your impression about the AMS?
Well, this is a wonderful achievement by the team here at CERN, and of course many other institutions. But the heart of AMS is here with Professor Ting and his team. This is an incredible achievement, really. This is wonderful. It's been collecting a lot of data, and he's going to collect more data for the next 7 years or so until the International Space Station is going to be taken aside. And I don't know exactly what will happen with it, but at least for 7 more years, we'll have good data from AMS.
Yes, so talking about achievements, you were part of the first European Space Agency selection,
Correct.
One of the astronauts selected the first time by a European Space Agency, and you were the first European spacewalker. Today, I think Peggy Whitson is having right now, like we're talking, a spacewalk on the station. and probably she's having to intervene on the AMS. Do you know anything about her spacewalk right now?
I have to confess I don't know. I personally never was on the International Space Station. My spacewalk was on the Hubble Space Telescope in 1999. That was the third servicing mission of the Hubble Space Telescope. I know a little bit about the International Space Station, but I never went there. So the detail of what she's doing with her colleague is always two-person going out at the same time. I don't really know the detail, to tell you the truth. But we had, as we were coming out of one of the facilities here at CERN, we saw on a TV screen some views of the spacewalk.
Live from the ISS.
Live, so everyone stopped there. We needed to continue, but everyone stopped because obviously when there's a spacewalk, everyone is looking.
And would you, if you were given the opportunity, would you do that again? You did one of the missions to repair the Hubble.
I would love to, of course. Obviously, being an astrophysicist originally, having the opportunity to work on Hubble was very precious for me.
It was amazing.
I would have loved to go to ISS. The advantage of ISS is the missions are much longer. The shuttle missions were short. They were
very
typically
intense.
9, 10, 11, 12 days. And when you were going back after working every day intensively for about that amount of time, a little more than a week, you wanted to stay there longer and take advantage of the
and profit a little bit, yes.
But we had to come back. So it was a different style of space flight compared to ISS, but it was always very rewarding, especially all the servicing missions of Hubble were all successful, so that was wonderful.
That's amazing, yes.
Yeah.
There's a question from Iki Panteri Mancerus. Would it be more beneficial to build a particle accelerator in space rather than under our feet, 100 meters below ground?
Well, I don't really think so. I'm not an expert in particle physics. Of course, we've learned a little bit about it today here, but I don't think that it would be an advantage to be in space. In space, of course, you have zero-G conditions or microgravity conditions, but I don't think that for a particle accelerator this is significant.
There is already, the cosmos itself is a particle accelerator, right? And that's what AMS is profiting from.
Absolutely, yes. Well, it's not really a particle, it's a particle detector, let's say.
No, but the cosmos.
Oh, the cosmos itself,
is an accelerator.
Yes. It is, that's true.
If
yes,
you may.
yes.
Much more powerful than anything we can
build.
It
really is, yes.
There is a question from Daniel Dempsey. What do you get up to in your spare time in space? What do you do in your spare time in space?
Of course, every mission has a set of goals that we have to accomplish during the. Again, for the shuttle, it was typically 10 days in space. And every mission had a different goal. If you have to go and fix Hubble, replace the main computer, replace one of the fine guidance sensors and change gyroscopes, then you do this. And I remember that the crew was always obsessed with the idea of being successful on the mission. So we really wanted to be successful, and we were. But you go up there, of course, to enjoy the wonderful environment, the weightlessness and the views of the sky and the earth, which are always enjoyable. But most of the time you just work.
Yes, right.
And it's always very rewarding when you are assigned to a mission and you work, you train for about 1 year, you have a mission, again, about 10 days in space for the shuttle. And then if you're successful, it's a huge reward for us.
Yes. Thank you very much, Claude. Some people are making signs that I've stolen enough of your time. Actually, it was a fantastic opportunity to have 3 astronauts here. We've taken this opportunity really last minute. I hope the Facebook audience has enjoyed. I hope your questions were all answered. And otherwise, see you next time on Facebook Live from CERN. Thank you, Claude.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Pleasure. Thank you.